Good morning, all, or I guess happy lunchtime for my friends in South Downs and others of you living in the future. And welcome to Kal-bardr's Corner for this episode of Coffee with Cal. I'm Baron Kal-bardr Gellir, painting the Meridian Cross, painting the Argent Comet, painting the Compass Delegate, painting the Palmer's Lantern, Defender of the West, and Reaper, coming to you live from the Baroness of Shattered Crystal in the Midlands of the Middle Kingdom. Because there's apparently regions and things that I've got to remember. There's lots of middles to do. Today, I'm joined by a person that's recently retired Baroness of Shattered Crystal, the mistress of shenanigans, a delicate Mediterranean flower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Baronessa Petrona de Monciano.
Good morning.
Morning, Your Excellency. How are you?
I'm good.
If you'll please introduce yourself to the people, tell us who you are and why you are in fact awesome.
All right. I'm Petrona, please. Just Petrona. I am a Pelican here in the Middle Kingdom, and recently stepped down as the landed Baroness of Shattered Crystal, where I had been serving as the coronet solo for several years. And when we say recently, 14 hours-ish?
And not even that much. It's only 11 o'clock.
Okay.
It was yesterday, like yesterday evening. So yeah, if we look tired, it's because we haven't slept much. We were playing games with Their Majesties Glenalbin and other folks in the Middle Kingdom until 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
So this coffee is nice and we appreciate it. Speaking of coffee, today's show is in fact coffee themed and we must talk about our beans. So I believe you have the coffee here, so tell us all about it.
So this is cask, a handcrafted bourbon-infused coffee from Kuroko Koffee out of Sycamore, Illinois, so the north end of the state.
Given to you by
this was
one of your
gifted
partners?
by Thane Sammy, one of my partners, yes.
Who has been on the show before. He and I did not get to play TOEFL again this week, and we were too busy.
Correct.
I was very sad about that. We were we did get to fight and but you know, I'm way more bruised than I'd like to be today. Because I thought they hit hard in the West. Apparently, no. We just don't hit hard in Meridians. Everybody else hits hard. Like, so I'm gonna go back home and play stick tag. I like that game better. It hurts less. So, but of course we have cups as well. So tell me about your cup.
This is my favorite bloody mug from Painted Sky Pottery.
And I have. So it's funny that I'm up in the mid realm, and I noticed a potter that I recognize as one of Mistress Castine's cups from down in Meridians. So I was like, well, I have to use that. I have to use the home field mug. So thank you for that. And these are just awesome mugs. And that's a lot of coffee. I'm going to be very happy here in a minute. So, All right. Before we get into the show,
yes,
I have business we have to handle. So we did the stepping down yesterday, and I heralded Her Excellency in and did all of that, and was going to be heralding her out. And there was a bit of a heraldic snafu where the incoming got called in before I could do the litany out. Ordinarily, this wouldn't matter. But one of your things, which is really interesting to me, that I've noticed also out in the West, is that you actually retired your arms, dismissed your arms during your reign.
I dismissed my arms at my investiture as Baroness.
So it's a problem because she now has no arms.
How will I lift my coffee?
Exactly. This is important. So I'm going to do that now. Hold on. I have the herald hat on. It's so official. God, I love this fucking hat so much. Yes, this is my ridiculous heraldic hat.
You should run the cursing disclaimer.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
I've already broken that.
Yeah. Oh, God. I got to. All right. If I'm looking weird because I'm on two screens because we're separated and the camera's over here on my laptop and I'm over here on her laptop. So it's like I'm doing this a lot. That's why it looks weird. Okay. We got some Artesians here, West Kingdoms here, Anciora, and we have 3 kingdoms represented already, and none of them are ours. How fun is that?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. All right, so let me do this business real quick, and then we'll be good. All right. As the coronet is passed, Baronessa Petrona once again takes up her arms. Per bend sinister argent invert, in bend and oak leaf bendwise sinister inverted and bowed, and a holly leaf bendwise sinister and bowed counterchanged. And with the augmentations granted her by the crown, a fleur-de-lis argent, a mullet, and a quill pin or. Although she has left her baronial throne, she will ever stand resolute in defense of her crown, in support of the populace, and as an instigator of shenanigans in this land and around the known world. She will forever be beloved by the people.
No pressure.
No pressure. All right, there you go. Congratulations, you have arms again. All right. So while we are talking today, if you have questions for us, comments you'd like to throw up on the screen, or just a fun anecdote, or want to sass my guest here, please do that. Drop that in the comments on either Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching. And make sure to like down below or over there if you're on the Facebook. I don't know where things are. I'm a terrible YouTube host, guys. I have no clue where things are around here. But poke the buttons, like the things, share it with your friends. And let us know. So today's topic is really interesting. So we chatted with everybody. She's last night about some of this, and I've talked to Axel on the show about leadership before, and the idea of enabling as a PLQ. I think I wasn't sure where you were going to go with this until we talked a little bit this weekend about it, and we've chatted some about your reign as Baroness and your incoming and how that's going to be different, sort of how the two of you are different powers, right? And I think that's the role of a baron or the role of a king in a kingdom is to guide the kingdom, but not run it specifically. Like you're setting the example, so to speak. And the idea of enabling as a peer is also part of your job, right? To enable others, and I think you had a quote from Axel that I'm looking forward to hearing later.
Right.
But give me your sort of the brief synopsis here, and then we'll go into the topic a little bit.
All right. So, and when we use enabling, modernly, we often use enabling in a negative context, that you're enabling someone in a destructive behavior. That is absolutely not where we're headed with this. We're thinking more to empower and provide the ability and support structure for someone to accomplish a goal.
Right.
So that's going to be our working definition of enabling. This topic came to me after watching His Majesty Axel's show with you a few weeks back here. And I thought about my journey to peerage and some of the things that I'm aware I made changes in. And I think those are sort of things that really brought me to the Order's notice. And it was when I started doing less work myself and more lifting people up and pushing them forward.
Right.
And I think that's the key to really everything, is building others up in that way and sharing your power to an extent with them.
Right. It's odd to me when I see, like, if peers out there, don't be offended by this, but it's odd when I see peers doing things, right? I want to do things, and we want to do things. I get it. I fussed at you while you were sitting because you're like, but I'm a Pelican, I do the things. But yeah, but you're also Baroness, stop doing the things. Because it's hard. It's hard to turn that off for those of us who just are doers. But you occasionally have to step into that role of, you could do it, but also helping others do it, or in this case, enabling them to do it, not only takes some pressure off of you that you don't realize is there, but also it builds a society as a whole, right? And could encourage them to do more later if they're not doing it now, right? That's your job as a peer, I think, right?
Yeah.
How hard is that? Like, I'm not there yet, right. So like I can still do things right now, but like, what's? As
you say, I am a doer. I will get in there and hike up the skirts and get dirty to accomplish the job. That's what we have to do.
Phrasing. Okay, just checking.
But if you think of a peer's job as to create the dream, one of the things that's important to remember is that it's not my dream. It has to be everybody's.
It's collective, right?
And if I only think about the things that increase that magic for me or that bring me joy, which is doing the stuff, then I'm not providing that service, that magic for other people. And for some people, it is being able to step in and sweep the burden from the lady and carry it off. And that's
those little bits of chivalry are things we can do that are small things. Retaining for royals, right? Yes, you don't need me to carry your cup for you. You don't need me to hold your cornet for you.
Occasionally.
Yeah. But allowing those to do those things, those little things like that, or even the bigger things of, hey, I want to autocrat an event, but I have no clue what I'm doing. Yeah, you can just autocrat it because it's going to be easier if you just autocrat the event because you've done it 100 times.
Oh, we're going to come back to that.
Cool, okay. But I think that taking that step back and letting others do it and you being there as a support system, right? I think that's the other thing that they enable is you're supporting them, allows them to grow, which is how you make peers.
Yes. But it can't just be your thing.
Correct. So, well, and I'm not throwing anybody's food under the bus here. We talked about what this weekend as well with different royals and different approaches to royals. Looking at, so we had myself and my ladies there from Meridies. We had the Glenalvin crown there, and we were in the Middle Kingdom. We're looking at how the current Middle Kingdom crown and the Barons approach things, how the Glenalvin crown approach things, and how Meridian crown approach things. And it's three very different ideas of being crowned. And there's not any good or bad. There may be some good or bad about some of it, but it's just different approaches. And it's really interesting to watch the concepts of crown of the people, crown above the people, crown next to the people, sort of those things, and what their goals as crown is, right? I think the peerage idea is the same. It's just different hat in this case.
Right. Mid-Rome is a very royalist, very formalized, very tradition-based kingdom. Yeah.
There's
my cat's invaded.
There's a thumb cat over here, guys. So if it gets on camera, it's a thumb. It has thumbs. I'm so excited by this. You do not understand. So okay, and this is a little IKA here. So, like, how you've traveled a lot now and traveled a lot with me. What do you see as your job as peering here with the way your royals are built out, or the way your royalist structure works, versus like going down to Glenalvin and seeing how their peers associated with the crown? Like, what's different for you there? What have you seen in that along this topic? You feel it bust? I just threw you under there. You like that?
Yeah, great. Because I'm trying to remember the last. Yeah. Well.
The last one you didn't lose much blood. The kids did, apparently, from Diamond Wars.
That's true. It was a mosquito heavy event.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very different approaches. We are very, very formal. It's very theatrical in many respects, which is something I enjoy. I like the ritual. I like the theatrics of staging court. And I'm a herald. I'm a protocol herald. I'm a voice herald. And that's a lot of what I was elevated for being clerk of precedence. But, I think. They never tell you.
She was elevated for the sass, is what it was.
Little. But so that's something I love. It's something I enjoy doing. And the flavor of it, the tone is so different, not just from kingdom to kingdom, although there are consistencies. Callantyre, my neighbors, my beloved next door neighbors here, it's completely different. The first time as a herald I went to a Callantyre court, I nearly lost my mind.
That's how I felt when I went to West Kingdom
There was a goat impaled on the sword of state, and I was quivering with the need to rip it off of there. It was a paper mache goat. No goat was harmed in the making of this court.
KK Productions does not condone harming goats in any way. Why? Why is my question? Later. Okay. Okay. So cycling back, we're gonna dive into IK land, which is what we do on the show apparently. Right. Which is fine. It's important, right? So you mentioned creating the dream earlier. I think that's really important because I think your job I said this in the car. I'm going to repeat it again. So as crown, as landed barons, baronesses, or as peers, right? Those are all jobs. We discussed that a couple times. That those are jobs within the society, and I know that sucks. And we want a job. I get it. I liken it a little bit to the idea of going to when you go to a Ren fair, you pay your $5 to get in, and people there are putting on the show for you, right? In my opinion, as crown, as landed, as peers, that's a little bit your thing at an event, right? Now, as peers, there's 1,000 of you to do that, so it's pretty easy to share that burden. But I think that's the inspiration. That's the creating the dream for others that you're supposed to be doing in support of your crown, in support of your landed abilities, in support of the populace. You know how to do the things, so you can help build that out and build the structure for others, right? It's your job to do that. How do we get other peers to do that? Like, how do we inspire that thought? Fix the world and come on.
In 30 seconds.
Fix the world in 30 seconds. You got this. How much do you hate me right now? I'm asking you the hard questions over the first cup of coffee this morning. Yeah.
it's hard to change established patterns.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, I'm not sure that's something that's a windmill I need to tilt in many cases. So train the next generation. Find the folks that are doing the thing already and help them refine. And that's when we get back to enabling. You like that?
Cycle right back. I like it.
Is you're going to provide the tools for them to do that. Even more than that, remove the roadblocks.
Right.
And that is what I think my role is and has been, is remove the roadblocks for people to do the things that they love, to do the things that move us forward, that encourage growth and change, because change is important. Considered change is important.
So I have a topic coming up about this. We're doing progress versus tradition on a future show with.
I'll be typing chat comments like mad on that.
Well, it was funny. So I'm actually doing it with a stepping up Baron. After that one, so it would be the day after his investiture. And he's a much younger. He's like in his 20s in college. Like he's much younger approach to the SCA, which not calling your elder excellency, of course. But
hope not.
But I think it's interesting that there'll be two very young land and nobility because it brings a whole different idea and thing.
A different energy.
Most of the time you see crowns, it's the older generations, it's the older folks. Yes, we've had younger crowns, we've had our unbelted dukes in the day, but I think that brings a whole different energy. They're doing a cattle raid concept for their event, and it's the two of them are actually the two barons that are stepping up are fighting over who's the heir. That's their whole shtick they're playing.
Oh, delightful.
And that's funny. That's cool. And obviously it's going to end with both of them getting invested. But that's the concept. They're doing it together, but they're fighting over it. And that's hilarious because it brings a new irreverence to the thing, but they're doing it in a way that's still reverent, right? Mm-hmm. They're building that structure out for us to play.
It still honors the goal.
So Nope.
So okay.
I had a thought.
Okay, that's all right.
Go ahead,
you can
please.
work on getting that back. Speaking of when we have folks that have been in the society for years in roles, change is important. Growth is important. We have people that get in roles and stagnate. We know this. We all immediately just thought of that one guy that's been the exchequer in your group for 14 years, or what have you. We've got to pry folks out of those roles.
Right.
And modern society, a lot of times we hoard the knowledge, we hoard the skills because that's our job security. Right. And we've invested ourselves into that role.
There's a base of power that comes with it too.
Absolutely.
And you get comfortable in that power, which I know people get twitchy about, but you have power when you're in even as a peer. Your word carries more weight. You have more power in that, and I think you get comfortable in it. So you don't want to step out because you don't want to lose that bit of power, which is twitchy, and I don't like it.
You're not going to hand that painting back just yet. Thanks.
Fair. So the thought that I had was the idea of, so in those people who get in those roles, I know they don't want to give it up generally because they don't want to see it fail, right?
And especially if it's a relatively new, potentially unknown individual who's chomping at the bit to take on that role. And this might be a little personal history moment here. That's really what happened to me on my peerage journey. Is I saw a role that needed new energy, needed new life, because somebody had been grinding through the motions for a good long while. And they needed a break. Right. And maybe didn't even recognize that they needed that break.
I think you can't because you get blinded on.
Tunnel vision, absolutely. So I said, show me how to do the thing. Sure, we'll do that one time. It didn't happen. Tenacity, persistence. Right. I just kept showing up and asking and saying, this is the thing that needs done. Our kingdom needs this. We need help here. Let me help do this. And eventually I got the training I needed and was able to take over that role and make some changes. And I think folks were really, really pleased with that. Right. So insist on your own training. And if you, just like in the real world of your job, if you don't understand, ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
Keep following up. Insist that you get what you need to do the job. Now, the peers and the folks that are in that job, they should be not making that difficult.
Right.
Put that information there. Remove those roadblocks. And that's the enabling that we want, is to make that journey from not understanding, from beginner to maybe not expert, but competency,
Right.
As seamless and easy as we can.
So I think there's one point I want to make on that I have is that, yes, get the training, ask the question, get the answers, but just like, so anybody's out there who's a fighter or any kind of martial sport, we get a whole lot of advice when we're fighting that a lot of it doesn't work for our body, our sword, whatever. So you have to take it. So the advice always is you can take it all in and then keep what works. I think the same thing applies to any job in the SCA from anybody who's done that job or hasn't.
With a few
exceptions, right?
Yeah, so there's some legal things that are not.
As Seneschal, as Exchequer, as Minister of Children, there's some things legally you have to do that I think, and as peers, as past whatevers, your job is to give advice on how you did the thing or how you might do that thing. And then go, nope, there's the line, and make sure they know where the line is of here's the legal things you have to do. Now, rant from Cal for a second, make sure that the things you have to do are actually the things you have to do. Kingdom law changes, mundane law changes, that shit changes. Do not quote old stuff. If you're quoting a have to do this, show it to them in writing. If it's not in writing, you're wrong.
And I don't know if other kingdoms experience this. This is my pet peeve. Please tell me again how that's incorporated. It's not.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Go read it.
Show me where that is. Yeah.
I have made it a practice for the duration of my tenure as Baroness. I read both Kingdom Law and Corpora in completion every 6 months. I set myself a calendar reminder every 6 months. I went back and I read them both so that I caught any changes. And there were a couple things I was like, ooh.
Right.
Oh, my officer reports need to be doing something a little different right here. Right. And we were able to get back into compliance, and nobody fussed, nobody yelled. It wasn't a big deal.
But most of them, they're not going to care until it's a problem long term. Right. They're not going to fuss about it because they don't want to fuss because they don't want to lose people. And they know if they fuss too much, they lose people. So it's a weird, I do not envy anybody at the society or upper levels of this. I don't even have the kingdom officers having to deal with it because I know they're dealing with it as a volunteer organization. We're struggling with people already. We talked about our baronies. Both of us, our baronies, being supported by like 5 people on a good day. So we're struggling to fill these roles anyways. We don't want
every group is like that.
Yeah.
Every group has that issue. At least from time to time.
Right. If we see the baronies struggling, we know the shires and the cantons are doing it because they've got less people. Although they may have less politics, so it may be a little easier for them. Which is why baronies should be regional designators. Okay.
That's a different show.
That's a whole different show. Okay. Coming up on Coffee with Cal, at one point, Cal's going to rant about baronies regional designators for a little bit because that's of mine. Also, we have a comment from Root. Apparently, there you go. Dame Varia and Her Excellency Thea are two of the best enablers she knows. And Thea, I don't know Dame Varia, but I will agree with the Thea comment. She is definitely a doer, but also will help you do the things, whatever the things is. She doesn't care. Anything is her thing. I've watched her help people to do things she had no clue about, but she's like, "You're excited, let's do the thing." Which I think is cool. I think again, I've seen Laurel's do that a lot with. That's not my art, but let me help you improve your art because the process is the same. I enjoy watching that. That's an enabling thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or network, helping somebody get connected to the right person.
Yeah, find the right people. Yeah,
finding the network, getting people in to that conversation that they need. Definitely.
All right. So we have a question. You ready for the question?
Sure.
We have, how do you as a peer or facilitator overcome fear of failure for your volunteers? And then is there a cultural welfare by doing it? And if something goes wrong, there's help, not punishment. So how do you get over the fear? And then how do you help them and not punish them when they do fail? I didn't ask her this time. It's her fault. That's her question. I saw it. I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one. I think you have to fail. I think that's my short version. As you have to let it fail up to the line of legal.
Right. Well, or close. Well,
Yeah.
I would not even go that far. I would
Okay.
say there's a point where a failure can be damaging to others emotionally.
Sure. Okay,
whatever.
I'll give you that.
And as peers, we want to protect people in that way as well.
And I think it's protecting the dream. Again,
Yes,
you're protecting
absolutely.
the sort
The
of
community.
structure.
We're protecting the community. So that's important. And
I think finding that line is the hard part.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And finding knowing where that line is. It's risk assessment. It's
How far can I let this go to failure
before I need to step
in, right?
And it's knowing where that tipping point is, and then coming in that half beat before then,
right,
with a plan.
Right.
A plan that doesn't take over that learning experience from that person, but maybe guides them into turning it around.
Right.
And that's key, I think. If somebody's going to fail, make sure they learn something from it, and not you got slapped. I changed my word choice on that one.
Were you gonna say fucked?
No, that was not it.
Oh, okay. And I think that's the second part of this is how do you help not punish?
Right.
Because we can't punish, right? So that's one of the things about the actual talks about.
Social. There are social punishments. There are absolutely.
Okay, we shouldn't punish. Let's go with that.
Yes, 100% should.
Because we are a volunteer
But
organization.
we've all seen
This is a hobby. This is supposed to be fun. So we shouldn't punish because nobody has to be here. I'm not getting paid well enough to do some of this stuff. I say that because I do get paid occasionally. I keep looking over here because there's clearly a camera here. As a herald or whatever, I get paid to do things. But so I want to do those things well. I'm not getting paid to be the seneschal. I'm not getting paid to be the herald. I'm not getting paid to be the exchequer. Those jobs are all volunteer. All the stuff we do is volunteer. Toting all the 35 pieces of wood for the doors and planks this weekend. That's volunteer work, right? So we have to. We don't think about punishing because then we lose people. Then you have to do it because you're the only one left.
Right. Absolutely.
So the idea of helping them to learn, right? Because failure is always about learning. I completely agree with you on that. I think that's the as a sort of project manager, right? That's what I look at. They're like, oh, what do you do when you fail? Okay, we fail. We didn't plan well enough this sprint. We didn't do well enough. Now we know better. We have better data to work on. So the event lost money. Okay, why did we lose money? Well, it's because we overspent on fees. We did this and this. Now we know.
We didn't publicize.
We didn't turn it up. We now have that data. For next year, let's look at that piece of this and do it differently, right?
And a lot of times, I think when you are trying to turn around that negative experience, and I'm very people focused,
right?
And you need to make sure that you are helping that person who has just had or is about to have a catastrophic failure to make sure that they are recovering not just the incident, but the people that were tangentially impacted by that instance.
Right.
So, and sometimes that is helping them to figure out how to apologize if necessary, how to solicit feedback from other folks that might have a different viewpoint on why that failure occurred, and how to.
The soliciting feedback on how the failure occurred, because it may not actually be I know the data of why the failure happened, but
your perception is your reality.
Correct. Yeah. So there may be different perceptions of it, even though I can look at the data, and I'm very data driven, so I'm a very blue individual. There may be perceptions of, that's the data why it failed, but
where are the
socially,
where are the soft skills
that may actually cause that failure. Being touching, I like that one. So you haven't know. So there's notes on the table as I'm looking down at them.
You can read my handwriting?
I can, actually.
Astonishing.
Yeah. Harold, hello. I've read scrolls in weird script before. I can do that. So the idea of providing opportunities, right? I think that's the thing. Is that enablement goes back to the idea we're looking at. So we have a thing we're doing, that person's looking at, and you're watching it go, it's not how I would have done this.
That doesn't mean
it's wrong. Working. It's wrong. I think that's especially not it's wrong. But I think tossing here's some opportunities to help. Here's some things or I've got this event. Have you considered this? Or hey, I've got this event. yes, I could go run the Rebel at this event, right? Because I'm the autocrat and I have nothing else to do at that point. Let me go run the Rebel. But also providing the opportunity for someone else to do it. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's not going to be what you would have done. It may not be as good as you would have done, but it may be better. But at least it provides them the opportunity to do something and participate in that. And you may light the fire of that person to help more so that you can then play differently in the future. Or they can play differently in the future, right? Mm-hmm. Those opportunities are something that's... And yeah, don't give them don't let some new person run the crownless tournament their first event. That's not a good plan.
Yeah, don't make the guy that's been in for 3 years the mayor of Penn State.
Right. Yeah. But letting them run the Revel at a random event, letting them run a tournament that's the Baroness's prize tournament that's not terribly important. I mean, it is, but it's not. Like, nobody's going to be mad if it's a little late. Which I have a new understanding of a little late, by the way. We had some snafus with scheduling this weekend. It was hilarious to me. SCA time is a new meeting. I love the marshals this weekend, but boy, our scheduling was rough.
Not hilarious.
By the way, but folks out there in the Middle Kingdom, I appreciate all of you and all the fighters I got to fight this weekend. That was some of the cleanest fighting I've had in a while.
It was great to watch. It was
super fun. I did get to wear Her Excellency's favor as Baroness on the field, and for her and her Majesty's entertainment, another gentleman I did counted blows at the barrier, which is the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life, and it hurt a lot, but it was super fun. He had a mace on an axe.
I full on giggled.
And we just beat each other for 10 minutes. It was it was a delight. So thank you to the mid-realm out there and folks who were out there fighting. That was I hurt a lot. I got hit in the titty. Sir Ish hit me in the titty. He missed, but it didn't miss. Sorry, sideline there. Go ahead.
How do I follow
that? I don't know. I broke the world. So we covered fighting opportunity. We covered networking. What else you got? Well, I like to be in someone's back.
Yeah.
Talk about that. I like that one.
Okay.
Because it goes back to fighting opportunity thing.
And that was where I was going to circle back when you talked about event stewarding and the like. And actually, I'm going to divert for just a moment.
Divert away.
When, as a peer, and we're talking about providing opportunity, you can break down a larger task into small tasks and give different people the opportunity to execute small tasks. And then you're building your cadre of folks who are invested in whatever that activity is because they've had a part of it. They want it to be successful. They're going to show up. They're going to hype that event. They're going to bring their friends because they're part of it.
And then if it fails, only that little piece is failing. Right. And it's much easier to pick up that little chunk than it is to pick up the entire event, for instance.
Right. But I think that's great. I think a lot of times we throw folks in that want to do things. We're like, oh, okay, fine, great. Well, our spring event is a little smaller. Go ahead and just run that.
Right.
And they've done no event planning. They've never been to that event before. That's mean.
Mm-hmm. But it's a disservice to the populace too.
But it's the same thing. If you said, "Can you orchestrate lunch?" or
here, meet Duchess such and such. She's done lunch before. Why don't you head this up and let her assist you with this?
Or schedule the artisan classes.
Here, run the salons because if the salons aren't that great, nobody's hurt. Okay. And generally, things like that are very self-managed. Mm-hmm. So it's easier to...
It's organic.
It's easier organic, and all you're doing is sort of facilitating it. Mm-hmm. You're not having to actively run a thing, but you get the involvement in starting to do a little thing. And the next year you can do the classes.
Take 2 things.
And next year you can do 2... Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And you build that competency. So in building competency, we're talking about event stewarding. After they've done, they've taken on 1 piece. They've taken on 2 pieces. They're ready. And they're chomping at the bit, and now they're going to run their own event. And they've got the paperwork, and they've got a plan, they've got a concept, and the group's behind it. So that's important. A thing that we have done, and this is one of those, I am part of a service-oriented household. And so we would do what we would call, we coined it shadow cratting. Mm-hmm. And so somebody is, the new guy, their name's on the website. It's their event. and we're the deputy. We're the drop dead. We're the oh man.
Okay, so it's you let them be the primary and you're
Yep.
the co. Okay.
And
because we do co-steward is
Okay.
the same idea.
but and in that point when we do co-steward, they both have equal power though. In this point we're saying
Okay.
here I'm just
Right.
I'm the runner, I'm the page, I'm the grunt work level.
Well, you're the knowledge base for them. Yeah.
And you're basically being their one-on-one mentor for that, and they can run concepts by you, bounce ideas off you. You get to subtly coach, and so you are sculpting a little bit, but your name's not nothing.
Right.
I mean, we've done it where we're not even technically the deputy,
right.
but we know this person is going to struggle in this area, so we just kind of slide on it and go.
And like the group says, okay, we're letting such and such do it, but we know Petrona's backing that.
Yeah.
So we'll do very similar things. We have some of our brands have rules about when you can run events. You have to have ran an event as a co before. So they'll have a primary that's done it.
Interesting.
And then this person is a co, and then during the next event they'll flip and let the
And
co be the primary. And let the other person be the backup for a year, or bring in a third. So they'll kind of, and that person's there as that,
So it's a learning ladder.
Yeah, and then we keep adding people to it. So eventually, there's a pool of people to work from. That or you'll have somebody start as a class steward, and the next year they're the co for the event, right? And it works you up the ladder, so you're not doing all of it at once, but you can get some of the inside knowledge of it that you don't see when you're out there.
And it's important to have that set up, and we have had events where the Shadowcrat has had to fly into, we had an event steward have a family member pass 2 weeks prior.
Or somebody runs into
a deer. Yeah. Well, welcome to our personal pain for the weekend.
Yeah, this weekend was fun for us. We had Sammy's car died. Her the primary herald's car got hit a deer. The cornet almost
wait. The primary herald, who also made my step down cornet and therefore had it,
whose apprentice was also being elevated this weekend,
hit a deer.
Yeah. So it was a rough weekend for them. Yeah.
Love you, Gunnar.
Yeah. So I met one of your proteges this weekend.
You did.
So I want to, in fabulous fights, and you did great work in the hall last night. How do you approach your proteges with helping them do stuff? Like, what's your role in that as their peer, and not necessarily as the person doing the thing with them? Like, how do you involve yourself with that?
It's completely different based on the individual.
Okay.
And it has to be.
Yeah.
I've had students that all they needed was help with peer fear, because they could run the tar out of anything. Right. They had all of the skill sets, but the formal stuff like writing publicity stuff, interacting with crowns,
the public facing.
That was the terror. Yeah. That was a terror point for them. I have had, and when I say students, I had my elevation oaths. I wrote my own, and none of these apply to strict relationships.
Sure.
It's anybody that asks or that I can teach. We know that people have different brain patterns, and so you have to tailor your approach to that individual and what they need. And it's the soft skills. It's that emotional intelligence. I'm back to that again. Right.
Well, because when I think I talk this a lot again, a lot of project manager. When I'm interviewing people for a job, we did this recently. I can teach you the hard stuff. I can teach you how to do algebra.
Yeah.
I can't teach you how to think though.
Right.
I can't teach you how to mentally go through the process. So when I'm looking at things, I'm looking at them for attitude and culture fit, and like, are you excited about this role? Not do you know what the book says about Scrum? Right. I don't care about that as much because I can teach you that.
Oh yeah, I know.
I think that's easier to teach than, so it's easier to teach how to balance the exchequer checkbook than it is to teach how to deal with crowns, right? That's hard. Yes, it's teachable.
It also changes the
much, right? Yeah, and then but I think, that's what I mean by how to deal with crowns. As heralds, we do that a lot. Like, how do you deal with the crown? Because you always have to do that deference, but also keep them in check, which is that's a whole topic.
Mm-hmm.
As heralds acting as the check for the crown, because that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
We have a comment from Aslak. It looks like he agrees with us on sort of how we function as well. It says, generally in our shire, the deputy takes over the next year, and we switch between people who are newer to autocratic and people who have done it a lot. Experience always in the mix as well. I think that makes sense. Like having your list, and we actually keep ours on a list of who's done what events, how many events they've done, who's feast credited, who's autocrated, so that we can, one, remember it and sort of see what their experience level is and how long or when the last event they did was. I say the list. There might actually be a list out there. Like we all have, there's like a mental list going. There may be an actual list. I don't know.
I probably wouldn't qualify to run an event there because I've actually only ever event stewarded once.
Oh, I actually did. I've never have, surprisingly.
Really?
I was gonna do one April 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get to do it. Something happened. I think I canceled. I was very sad. Yeah. I ended up doing it online. I ran online events. I take that back. I did actually co-steward Tourney of the Foxes with Runa posthumously. Well,
you're both very alive.
I'm not dead yet. What's the post? It was after the event. The group actually voted to name me as co-steward because I did so much for the event.
Okay.
They made me co-steward after the event.
Okay.
It was cute. It was very nice of them.
That's lovely.
I added to my resume.
I'm very glad to announce that you're all.
Ow.
Oh, that's
Ow.
Right. You did get hit right there. Sorry.
Can you see it? So we were on bunk beds this weekend, and I apparently when I need to use the little fighter's room in the middle of the night, I stumbled and smacked my noggin on the bed, getting out of the top bunk.
And I just hit it.
And she just hit it. You also punched me in the rib the other day, you wackadoodle. All right.
It didn't turn out to be broken. It's fine.
That's fair. That's true. All right. What else you got?
One of the things that I took from King Axel's thing is I really like this phrase, power amplifies. So as a peer, demonstrating trust in someone elevates them. And if we show that we trust and we rely on that person, other people will start to trust and rely on that person. And that's when you say your words have more weight, your actions do too. Mm-hmm. And sometimes what you don't say is inferred in this way. And I can use that social power to give that little piece of my prestige, my power that has been vested in me as a member of a peerage order to this person by saying, I believe in them.
Correct.
And that gives them confidence because they know that I do believe in them and that I will be there when they get to that half step from failure to help them turn it around. Or
if some, upset peer comes at them with a complaint,
I'll shield that.
Then I think you act as shield. But that's what I think we as our peer associates do. The crowns can do whatever you act as that buffer for that newer person.
And not just your dependents, folks.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. So the idea of power amplifying was something I was reading. Duchess Ismay put up a post the other day of asking peers, what is a thing in the circle that you, if you were voting on a person that you would be an immediate no for you or something. I'm paraphrasing. I apologize for the thing. But one of the things I saw was, would you want that person's to be copied? Right? Because the idea of you're taking your skills and giving them to other people. Mm-hmm. That's your goal, is to create new peers.
We're the Xerox machine.
So you're Xeroxing it.
Yeah.
Would you want copies of that person running around? Because that's what you're going to get. You make them a peer. They take in students. They copy themselves. Right? Yes, we're all going to be different.
This is a little terrifying, and I'm spinning. The hamster is running.
Are you okay? Good.
Yeah.
You're making copies of yourself, Petrona, which is terrifying for me too.
Yeah. You should all be a little concerned.
Yeah, that's really an interesting way. It's a good way to look at that, because that's your power is amplifying out of your copies at that point, and you're spreading your culture, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Right. So I think as peers, you have to look at that of, would you want copies of that person?
All right. So I'm about to lay in this is one of my little personal secrets. Y'all are getting this
Uh-oh.
here. Yeah, no. You mentioned Mistress of Shenanigans, which was bestowed upon me on the day I was placed on vigil at SCA 50 year. There was a meme within hours. Upcoming Mistress of Shenanigans. So here's the thing. I never actually execute any of these shenanigans myself. Maybe not never. I rarely.
Right.
Rarely am I the actual perpetrator. I am the one going, oh, that sounds like a terrible idea. You should do that.
So you're an enabler, is what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Look at that. We summed it up. But again, that's you take the little kernel thing, or hey, I've got this tournament idea. Here you go, right? We talked the tournament this weekend. We talked about how to do that. Like, how can we do this tournament somewhere else? Because I like tournament format this weekend. So
it's one of my favorites.
I'm gonna find it, and so I'm gonna go back to Marines and find an event. And hey, event stewards, here's a neat tournament idea that you might want to try this year because your tournament doesn't have a format. Like we have some events that have it's this format. This is the tournaments we do. This is what we do because that's the event style. Mm-hmm. There's some that don't. We change them every year. I think that's an interesting. Let's try that one time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could do that, or we could hand it off to them and say, here's the thing, try that.
Or you add that extra layer. They have a great idea, but it's a good idea.
Right.
And you just give it that little extra push.
The polish, so to speak, yeah.
And that's what it means to me to be an enabler. And yeah, I will just use that phrase. People are like, oh, no, I'm an enabler. That's why that's happening. Because I put down the tools, I put down the idea, and I said, who's going to scurry over and pick that up? And somebody will. And then I cheerlead them.
Right.
And make them feel good about that and give them the respect of letting them lead it. Because they deserve that chance. They deserve that respect. We all do.
Well, and again, it builds us all up because then they get to be part of that the culture and that dream. You and I talked a lot about the sort of the court shtick stuff, and that's one of my favorite things to do is and why I don't mind failing from the role play side because it lets me have to then recover from the failure. We forget I leave a thing at a revel and one of the queens pick it up and I've got to go beg for it back. That's fun. And it allows us to be silly with that. So here's a shenanigan thing. Yeah, I could be the one to do shenanigan, but handing it off to others is fun. Now, I will ask this and say this to those out there. As the enabler, it's also your job to help them recover.
Oh, absolutely.
When it goes bad for them.
Oh, I will throw myself on that sword.
Yeah. I think that's important to lend out that thing.
What are they going to do? Take away my birthday?
Yep.
There's a lot of paperwork if they want to do that.
That's fair, yeah.
That person that's still on the path can set them back a bit.
Right.
So I'll take the onus any day.
Well, because then also I think you're showing them one that you have their back, that the peers have their back, but also you're showing them how to recover, so that the next time they can do it themselves. Yes. Right.
Or when they've been elevated, that they know that it's not an expectation,
right? But
kind of
it's your job to protect the populace, right? I think as our peers are the sort of the bridge between the royalty and the populace, because you're that sort of midpoint, right? I
think the landeds are supposed to do that. It's in the job description.
See, I can't landed as peers.
Okay.
To me, they're not. I get it. They're not peers. Please don't settle down, kids. They're in that same sort of category of that's their job. The landed are very specifically regional based. The peers are the society of that, right?
Fair. All right.
So I think it's the similar ideas. Yes, from the direct role play side, that is the king's representative that day on that field, whatever. But you are too, right? You're in fealty through that on that thing. Your job is to represent that order, which represents that crown, or that kingdom, or that whatever. But also, you have
the whole society.
You have society representation like that too. It's a whole different thing. Yeah,
it is. And please go travel interkingdom, folks.
Yes,
please.
So much fun.
Also, so much fun. Never would have met this nut. But it's different when you're in another kingdom and there's that moment where all of a sudden you realize it's a society level job.
Yep.
Not a word, job.
Yep.
And both, kind of.
A little bit both.
Yeah.
You get cool regalia out of it. She has a pretty cool Pelican medallion. We won't show it on camera. It's largely inappropriate. I love it.
It seems like actually all of mine, except the one I was elevated with,
are largely inappropriate.
Generally inappropriate.
I think that describes you. Your accuracy is largely inappropriate.
Indeed.
I like it.
There's a reason the one and only event I autocredited was Crystal Ball Triple X.
That tracks. Okay, that tracks. All right, I'm gonna do a couple of show plugs, and we'll sum this up. So coming up next on Ask the Knights Live, Tuesday, I think. Yes, Tuesday. We have Lorcan and Gellir will be joining. I think Little John's going to be hosting that one. So it's episode 2.2 for season 2. If you missed the first episode of Ask the Knights Live, I love the new hosts. They did a really great job. I actually watched it from my phone while I was driving up here to. It was really it's good for me and Logan both to see that they're picking this up and running with it. And I'm still involved in the background helping them with tech stuff and watching it. But I'm watching them just build this, and I love that. That's my goal for Kal-bardr Corner stuff and KK Production was to enable others, right? Mm-hmm. We're handing this off to them. Like, I don't want to do these shows. This is my show. I want this show, which is my shower thoughts and others, but I want to build this for others. And they're doing this, man. Super excited. They have an Ask the Squires show they're going to do.
Really?
Yeah. So they're like, we wanted something different. I'm like, so they're going to do like every other month Ask the Squires. Just to get the other half of the conversation. I was like,
actually, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I was like, go for it. This is great. Because it gives the same but it's slightly different look. And I was like, okay, cool. So it's a path show for them. I'm sorry, that's Wednesday. Thank you, Effin. So this is Wednesday's show, and that's Anna Nora's running. I know nothing. See, this is the thing. I'm not involved in this. So 26, it's Nora. She's doing it. Thanks, Effin. You're the best. That's Effin down there. That Effin. Oh God, there it is. That Effin guy. Cool. On Kal-bardr's Corner on Thursday coming up, I will be joined by the ridiculous squad of Holy, Fergus, and Baron Samson from the East Kingdom. So we met Samson out at Great Western War, and he's a hoot. And when he realized that he had a tiny tummy, and we were telling stories, we're like, oh, we got to get this together. So we'll do a little Great Western War hangover episode with that, talk stories from the war, and there might be some 99 bananas involved. We'll banana dance thing. I don't have my unicorn hat to wear, but I might have to do something ridiculous put on my head for that one. Because if you didn't see pictures yet for that, I wore a unicorn pinata as a hat. Because why not? It's Mineko's fault. She did it. It's in this. Effing, I don't read spreadsheets. I'm on a show. We've discussed how hard this is already. I'm busy.
He's out of his normal environment. Cut him some slack.
If you would put the dates on the things, I could find it better, you nerd. And next on Kal-bardr's Corner, this is 11-6. Speaking of Little John. We'll be joining Baroness Vermouth on Road to Retention, and that'll be November's episode 11-6 at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I did not load the thing for next Kal-bardr's Corner or next Coffee with Cal. Hold on, kids. We got one coming up. I got the thing. Active shows, Coffee with Cal, because it's another one I talked about. There it is. Progress Registration. All right, and then in 2 weeks, so the Sunday after this next one, which should be I think it's also 11-6. I will be sitting down with Lord Canute, or that case when he'll be Baron Canute, to talk about progress versus tradition. And yes, there's a picture of him with a shotgun, which I think was entirely appropriate for this topic. He also he is Canute's an actor, so he also does Western things and stuff. So I found a picture.
Well, that's fun.
That's a fancy picture of him. So if you've watched, he did Morris commentary. Actually, him and his new co-Baron did Morris Games commentary for me for Fox's a year ago. So we were playing
color commentary
while we were playing Nine with Morris. it made it much better because like some of the games are boring to watch, right? So they literally just sat in the background and did commentary for us while we played Morse games online. It made it worth watching. Just for them alone, I was like, this is hilarious. So there you go. That's
a special skill,
right? And he does commedia, so he's used to the improv stuff, so it works out. Apparently the unicorn photos are now being used for blackmail. The problem with blackmail,
you have no shame.
I have no shame. That's the problem with blackmail. Is I have zero shame. So good luck getting paid for that one. Anyways, Tony, anything coming up? Anything you want to plug?
No.
She's retired now. She's like, I told her yesterday, I was like, it's no longer your problem. And she's like, oh, Cal, say it again.
It's going to take a while for that to settle in, I think.
Like we were going to pack up. We got our banners down and our stuff, and she's like,
I turned around. I'm like, and I don't need to get.
No, she's like throwing. Nope, none of those are mine anymore. Bye.
My truck's half empty. It's unusual.
Yep. So there you go. Retiring, and also when you retire. Take some time off. Let others do the job until you're asked.
I think it's important and to still be literally present. Oh no, kitty coming in.
Oh no, we're getting the thumbcat. Yeah, it's a Pixel.
This is Pixel.
This is Pixel. Hold on, look. She's got thumbs. You got thumbs here. What?
She also doesn't particularly like to be held.
This at all. Get the belly. All right, so sum us up. Give me your enabling as a PLQ in a sentence or less. Or a couple. It's fine. I'll give you a couple sentences.
Fine. It's just providing opportunity. It's providing a network for people to succeed and removing the roadblocks that get in their way, the ones that are within your power to remove. You can't take everything away because folks have to climb over some things in order to learn, to grow, in order to then be able to remove them for others. That's all I'm going to go with.
Yeah,
I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Is when it's really funny. Again, my job as Scrum Master. That's my primary role is removing roadblocks. Right. I facilitate others doing their work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my enabling idea is I'm good at what I do, but can only do this much. If I take 10 people and teach them how to do their job, my job, I'm now 11 times stronger. Because I can now do 11 times the work that I could do myself. I think that's the idea of enabling.
And then add a side order of cheerleading.
Correct. Really. Yeah, but that's
building people
it's
up.
Coaching, cheerleading. It's building them to do the job, whatever the job is, because then you're 10 times stronger.
I like that. I like that.
And then that 10.
I'm going to use that.
Oh, please do, because then that 10 becomes 100, becomes 1,000, and it spreads. Yeah. That's how this works. It's very much a pyramid scheme. The SCA's pyramid scheme. You heard it here, folks. Petrona, it's been a delight. I want to thank you for allowing me to act as your herald this weekend, and for letting me carry your favor, and for providing us hospitality of your house. The Mid-Realm is amazing, but this woman right here is even better. Is that good enough, Jilly? You like that?
Sorry.
You'll blush a little there.
Mm.
Okay. Any final comments for the people out there watching? All right, folks. Cal's my enabling super. Oh, thanks, Ramu. You're the best. All right, we're gonna go grab lunch. It has been fabulous, but for now, that's an empty cup. I'm so happy. It was so tasty. Keep watching this week, next week, every other week. We love you. We miss you. But for now, this has been Cal and Petrona in Kal-bardr's Corner. Have a good day, everybody.